Hello ladies and gentlemen, Dave Dobbs here. It's the 25th of October 2019, and I'm getting the boat closer to the flight, which is the Devizes flight, which is I don't know how many locks it is, but all in one down one massive hill, and then that's where the boat's going to come out of the water for winter. So I'm just kind of like doing the last of that, trying to, I thought it was going to be a couple of weeks kind of like journey from East London to kind of Devizes way, and it's actually been the whole of summer really. But then I've kind of been dealing with, lots of stuff with my mum and just generally running around making lots of videos and what have you. But I wanted to talk about a bit more about this cosmic alignment, this kind of like doing a little bit of ceremony at this time to connect with what this earth really needs of us, because we are, Steve Olson keeps putting these videos up where he kind of shows you either duped to something really massive and kind of like leading you into this place. He's very, very good at it, leading you into this place where you kind of looking at this thing in the shots of Jupiter and thinking, can we be right next to Jupiter? And his latest kind of like, I forget the name, and I haven't got my computer here right now, but I forget the name of the dwarf planet. This kind of like, this shot that came in, I think it was, I'm not too sure where it was. I can't put an overlay via this camera. But check out I think it's very much his last video, and he's showing some kind of like egg-shaped planet. And, I mean, guys, thinking about the density of what our, I would assume that atomic density is gathered by something like the sun going from hydrogen into helium, going up the periodic table. And so if I was to come to a dwarf planet that's spewing out iron oxide, I would have to assume that that's denser than a sun that is spewing out hydrogen, or helium rather. Two hydrogens being fused into one, they become a denser atom, but they spew energy in the process of this kind of like this fusion, this not fission blowing apart, this fusion of coming together, and so we end up with something denser. Now, I have, with all my models, I've always placed and had this heliocentric model going through mine, because that's how I've been brought up. It's like going against the grain completely to even question that somehow, if not the Earth is not the centre of the universe, as in Galileo's time, what he was challenged. Here we are challenged to the same thing as Galileo, seeing the same things that Galileo was seeing, i.e. with a 20 times telescope, he's watching Jupiter's moons. And then we come back to this kind of like enforced by the Catholic regime at the time, this enforced this heliocentric model that we've all been, this Copernicus flat ecliptic plane model that we've all been brought up with. And guys, it's falling apart before our eyes. It is falling apart before our eyes. We are realising why Carlos Ferrada's prediction came about on the 20th of January 1939. Why the mid-range point? 40 years each side of that point, because it's 2019 now, and his prediction 1939, that's 80 years, that's 40 years either side of the 1980s, all from the early 80s right through. We had Kilauea going off, we had Krakatoa going off, we had massive earthquakes in America, we had Chernobyl rupturing on the 26th of April on 1986, on the same day as a massive earthquake that occurred on the same fault line that Chernobyl sits just above, i.e. the fault line that separates the Eurasian plate from the African plate and then runs right up to the Himalayas, where we saw on the 26th of April 1986 a massive earthquake in Dharamsala. It's quite simple now, really, to start realising, because of the sightings that we're seeing, that we're not the centre of the universe, and our sun isn't the centre of the universe. We are literally, this is why we're seeing the same pattern that we saw in 1939, because we've come under or over but more less likely because of the way in which the motions of, as we put a sun or a binary twin in motion and see how it moves. It comes in, the sun is moving, whatever is orbiting is moving along, and the sun has come in under Saturn, under Jupiter, these big masses, and it has gone round our binary dwarf twin, whatever you want to call it, and it has come back round again. It's come back under from whence it came, those big giants that no way could orbit our smallest sun. Not to say that our sun is not as big as Jupiter, is not as big as Saturn. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm suggesting that there's a giant in the room, there's an elephant in the room that we have all taken out of the equation. And that is the binary twin our sun orbits round. Is the daddy. Our sun is not the daddy here. Which means that in 1986 is the most likeliest date, which was the central hub. That was the perihelion point to our true kind of like cosmic galactic center certainly in our little corner of not our solar system, of our binary system. It's obvious, really, isn't it? It's plain. It's as plain as the nose on your face, really. It's so simple, it's so obvious, because the sightings just make it so clear and so easy for us to understand. How did Galileo see it? Think of that time in 1600. Think of the whole lineage of what was happening. The first dwarf star, or the first variable star ever discovered, 1996. We had Copernicus model coming out about sort of like about 1600. We had the first Bible in English language in about 1602. After I don't know whether it was 1602 or I'm not too sure. Maybe it was 1650 or 16. Could have been 16. Could have been later than that. But this big kind of like stirring up of that time. But it was certainly at the end of Elizabeth's reign that the King James Version came out. But just astronomically, we had massive comet sighting around there. Obviously, Galileo seeing the sort of like the moons of Jupiter with a times 20 kind of like telescope, equivalent to a ship pair of binoculars, just like people are seeing today. The moons and Jupiter, massive, and we're just throwing our beliefs at it, like our cameras are lying to us, like all this electronic data is lying to us because we can't adjust our beliefs. It's insane. Humanity is clearly under a massive mind control at the moment, where it can't move beyond its beliefs. It can't see what is staring it in the face. And a big shout out to Alex Ludrin out there, by the way, just on the thing. Thank you so much for your kind words the other day, Alex. I so appreciate that. And I know we're all just doing our work here. We're all desperately trying to muddle this together and bring it together. And I totally see it. And I love and respect to all of those out there, all in the Planet S community that are desperately holding this together to enable us to see what we're seeing. And it's taking a lot of courage on all sides for those people to come forward and speak out. But that's what we're seeing, that's what we're looking at. This big cosmic alignment. Maybe all this is just as a result of much as anything else, of all of us coming together at this time and opening up, and just suddenly it's all just becoming apparent, becoming obvious. And for me, the big message, which I spoke the other day when I had that flu and I was able to really touch that sadness, that's really the core message that I was given at the very start of this. The deal that has always been on the table, this understanding that to save us going into wars, because of the tremendous power that is behind the kind of soul groups that ultimately come to Earth. The real power, the real unseen forces that we have no idea that are really present when spirit comes to Earth to reinvent itself anew. The forces behind that, when they come in conflict with each other, are like gods at war. And so this situation that is unfolding is the standard situation that creates a transition from one soul group to another when different souls enter into the earth plane, or have kind of what they claim are claims on the beings that they claim to be their beings. it's a strange situation, and so ultimately this is played out by human choice all the way. What happens right now in Europe, if Britain leaves Europe right now, what I'm told is that we enact a set of karmic consequences there because of what these people want is they want to tie up Britain and America in a trade agreement, and ultimately drag the European members into that same trade agreement. And it means that they've surrendered all of their sovereignty in that. You know, at the moment you can't do fracking in Europe, you can't do genetically modified food. Europe has so many restrictions, you know, on so many restrictions of what you can't do. And I know there's flaws, and I realise what's happening. Well, I mean, there's so many flaws. But what those people who are driving this at the moment, they've got their sights locked onto a. Excuse me. Got the sights locked onto a free trade deal, where you are so seriously carved up, all your sovereign rights are so seriously carved up in that true sovereignty disappears. And if Britain goes down that corridor, I'm showing in my visions that there won't be a future for Britain if it goes down that corridor. It's terrifying. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying I'm just showing you what's been shown to me as a result of that. They will not tolerate that, and any interference in the process of what humanity decides in their kind of soul group. You know, you have to be so careful about where you're karmically tied in here to this planet and to this story. And the best thing you can do at the moment is just be the best human being that you can in all of this. Give what you want to receive, and try and be a conduit for as much help from the highest vibrations that can help and assist this planet right now in this transition. Open yourself to that assistance, becoming a conduit for that. And take the time to listen to the wisdom that comes through you once you've opened those doors. Take care, all the love in the world, and it's the 28th coming up. Don't know what's going to happen on the 28th with the alignment of this moon. I really don't know, but you can imagine it's going to amplify whatever, but it's looking like, because of the way in the arc that we saw on the 1st of September, Alex Lujan shot, that we're quite far from it still. We're all coming together now. This twin tail object and the Earth are coming together like that. And Earth will go first, and this will pass after. That's what I've pictured. If that's this year, could be the end of December, could be the end of January if it's this year. It's looking like it's going to be this year, isn't it? Because of all the previous sightings. No one truly knows. So we're just watching this space, just being as prepared as we can in what we are, but it's a much more spiritual awareness right now. Being grounded, deep breaths in, holding this space, and keeping that divine connection open right now. All the love in the world. Take care. Bye.